Polar, the Titanic Bear, the story. "That's my 10th bear today," said the voice of a young woman proudly. Suddenly I felt myself being hurled through the air, then landing with a thump on a hard wooden bench. I opened my eyes and looked around the large, bright room, littered with sawdust, tools, and scraps of felt. On either side of a long table sat women who were quickly sewing black glass eyes onto teddy bears. I soon learnt that they earned their living by making bears and other stuffed animals for toy shops around the world. Christmas was approaching, and they had been given a large order. This special lot of bears, including me, was to be shipped from Germany to America. I wondered where America was and how I was to get there, but I didn't have long to wait. The next morning I was crammed into a box, my toes touching my ears. Weeks passed in darkness as I was jostled this way and that. First there was a rumbling of the baggage train, then the swaying of the ship, then the shouts of the dock hands. But I forgot about my aching limbs when a young woman lifted me out of my box and set me on a shelf with a dozen other bears. She dusted us all off and then tied blue or pink ribbons around our necks. I had arrived at F.A.O. Schwartz in New York, the largest toy shop in the world. I was amazed by the beautiful things I could see from my perch. From the ceiling hung every sort of flying machine, airships, aeroplanes, and hot air balloons. In a long case in front of me were little furnishings for dolls' houses, tiny bird cages, baby carriages, and bathtubs with china dolls in them. There was a wonderful railway worked by electricity, and I could see a bright red engine going round and round, past flashing signal towers and stations. Because it was Christmas time, the shop was very busy every day. My bear companions disappeared one by one, and I couldn't help wondering when my turn would come. One day a lady with red cheeks looked at me all over carefully, straightened my blue bow, and said she would take me along with her. I was sad to leave my surroundings and hated being packed into a horrid little box again by one of the sales clerks. For several days I was left in a closet. I thought everyone had forgotten me, but finally one morning the lady took me out of the box. Then we went down to the docks where we boarded a large ship called the Caronia. The decks of the ship were crowded with people saying goodbye. As I looked about, wondering what was to become of me, a little boy came running up. Flinging his arms around the lady with the red cheeks, he cried, "Oh, Aunt Nanny, I wish you were coming with us." She gave him a big hug and then presented me to him. The little boy, my new master, had his father and mother with him, and Nurse Burns, whom he called Muddy Boons. Several people came down to see the master's family off, and I was admired by each one in turn, which made me feel very proud. "How high he holds his head," Master's father said. "What will you call him?" "Polar," Master replied promptly. A week later we sighted the island of Madeira, near Portugal, which was to be our home for the next few months. It was a beautiful, bright afternoon when we went ashore. We travelled through the busy streets to our hotel in a rickety old wooden cart pulled by a bull. Our hotel was very grand. Master Muddy Boons and I had a big sunny room overlooking the garden and the blue sea beyond. I spent many lazy days out under the palms watching Master build little houses with sticks and stones and surround them with miniature gardens. And we rode in the bullock carts whenever we went up into the hills, exploring different parts of the island. One sad day, Master woke up with red spots all over his face. "He's got measles," the doctor said gravely. "You'll have to put him in quarantine." Everyone looked very worried. Master, Muddy Boons and I were moved to a little cottage a short distance from the hotel. Master's mother explained that being in quarantine meant staying away from the other guests so that we wouldn't give them measles. We weren't in our new home for 5 minutes before a big brown mouse scampered across the floor. Poor Muddy Boone shrieked and went after it with a broom. She soon named our cottage Mouse Castle because it was full of mice, rats and ants, and she spent all her spare minutes trying to kill them. I didn't like my new quarters a bit, for Master was too sick to even notice me, and I was put in a corner and forgotten. The doctor visited us often, and every day Master's parents came with fresh eggs and milk. Night after night I watched as Muddy Boone sat awake, holding Master's hot, limp hand in hers. A full week passed, and I began to wonder if he would ever be well enough to play with me again. But one morning I heard Master ask for me in a faint little voice. Muddy Boone handed me to him, and he put me on his pillow, where I lay without stirring the whole day. Slowly, Master began to grow stronger. He would sit up in bed, wash my face and paws, tie my ribbon, and give me my breakfast. I was so happy to see him better that I almost didn't care what he did to me. But I didn't relish the bath Muddy Boone gave me one morning in a horrid smelly liquid called disinfectant. She gave Master one too. Then 2 men came out to the garden with a hammock. They carefully lifted Master in as he held tight to his little American flag in one hand and me in the other. Muddy Boone led the way, and we all marched back to our own sunny room in the hotel. Continuing the story tomorrow. Take care. Bye.